Has your bird ever done something that seemed small? A little lean toward you? A soft sound when you walk in? And you just smiled and moved on? That's a sweet instinct. But here's the thing. Most of what birds do to show trust is so subtle that even devoted owners miss it entirely. And if you're misreading those signals, or worse, not reading them at all, you could be living with a bird who has been trying to tell you something important for years without ever being heard. We're going through 8 of them today, and a couple of them, especially the one about what your bird does with their feathers, and the one that happens when you're not even looking, are going to completely change the way you see your bird. Let's start with the one that happens the moment you walk through the door. 1, they ruffle up the second they see you. Have you ever walked into the room and noticed your bird puff up their feathers right as they spotted you? Almost like they fluffed out for just a split second before settling back down? Most people assume that's just birds being birds. A random feather adjustment? Maybe they were cold. Maybe it doesn't mean much at all. But here's what's really happening. Birds tighten their feathers when they're alert or threatened. It's an involuntary response, the body preparing, bracing, staying ready. And they loosen their feathers when they feel safe. So that little puff the moment they see you isn't random. That's their body physically relaxing in real time. You walked in, and their nervous system exhaled. They didn't decide to do it. They couldn't have stopped it if they tried. In the wild, birds in a flock only fully loosen their plumage when they feel secure within their group. Tight feathers signal vigilance. Relaxed feathers signal safety. Research into avian stress responses consistently links feather tightening with threat arousal and feather loosening with the absence of perceived danger. The behavior is rooted in survival. It runs deeper than habit. That's not a random adjustment. That's your bird's body announcing, without a single sound, that everything is okay. Because you're here. And later, we're going to look at a signal so quiet most owners never even catch it. One that only happens when your bird thinks no one is watching. 2, they turn their back to you on purpose. Have you ever reached out to your bird, and instead of turning toward you, they slowly rotated and gave you their back? And you felt, just for a second, like maybe they were brushing you off. Most people take it personally. If they wanted to be close, the thinking goes, they'd face you. Turning away feels like indifference. But here's what most people don't realize. In bird behavior, turning your back to another creature is not dismissal. It's the opposite. Birds only expose their back, the side they cannot watch, the side they cannot defend, to individuals they trust completely. Facing away from you means they've decided you don't need to be monitored. You're not a threat. You're safe. And for an animal whose entire survival has always depended on knowing where every danger is at every moment, choosing not to track you is one of the most deliberate decisions they can make. Prey animals that live in social groups, and most companion birds are both, maintain near constant visual awareness of their surroundings. Studies in avian vigilance behavior show that birds reduce their threat scanning specifically toward individuals they've identified as safe. Dropping that watchfulness isn't a lapse. It's a learned, earned response. That's not your bird ignoring you. That's your bird telling you you're the one thing in their world they don't have to be afraid of. Keep that idea in mind as we go, because the last sign on this list takes it even further. And when you hear it, this moment, your bird slowly turning their back, is going to make a lot more sense. And hey, if this is already changing the way you see your bird, hit that like button and subscribe. That's how we get these videos to more bird owners who want to understand what their bird has been trying to tell them all along. 3, they grind their beak right before falling asleep near you. Have you ever sat quietly near your bird toward the end of the day and heard a soft, slow, rhythmic sound? A gentle clicking from their beak as their eyes started to close. Most people who notice it assume something is off. Maybe their bird is uncomfortable. Maybe there's something wrong with their beak. Maybe it's a digestion issue best mentioned at the next vet visit. But here's what's really happening. Beak grinding, that quiet, unhurried back and forth right on the edge of sleep, is one of the most recognized signs of deep contentment in companion birds. Avian veterinarians and behaviorists consistently distinguish it from other beak movements. It isn't cleaning. It isn't discomfort. It isn't agitation. It's the sound a bird makes when their body has fully let go. And the fact that they're making it near you is the entire point. A bird drifting towards sleep is a bird at their most open, their most unguarded. They chose to arrive at that state while you were right there beside them. Practitioners who work with parrots and other companion species describe beak grinding as a reliable indicator that a bird feels safe and settled in their environment. It's widely documented across species, from budgerigars to larger parrots, as a pre-sleep contentment behavior rather than a stress response. That soft sound isn't something your bird does anywhere, with anyone. It's what happens when they feel safe enough to stop bracing. And they feel that way because of you. 4. They bow their head and ask you to reach the one place they can't. Have you ever had your bird lower their head toward your hand? Maybe press it insistently into your fingers, or nudge you again and again until you started scratching the back of their neck. Most people read this as their bird being demanding. They want something, so they ask for it. That's the whole story. But think about what your bird is actually doing in that moment. The back of the head and the base of the neck are the one area a bird simply cannot reach, groom, or protect on their own. In a wild flock, a bird only presents that spot to a companion they trust, someone who will tend to it, not harm it. By lowering their head toward your hand, your bird isn't just making a request. They're offering you the one part of their body they can never defend. And here's where it gets even deeper. That offer only exists within a bond. In the wild, this exchange, called allopreening, is how bonded birds maintain their relationships. It's how they say, without any sound, that they belong to the same circle. Research on allopreening across parrot and passerine species consistently shows that mutual grooming is concentrated in bonded pairs and close flock members, and that it functions as a primary mechanism for social bonding and tension reduction. Some studies also suggest that affiliative contact of this kind is linked to lower stress indicators in social bird species. That's not a demanding bird. That's a bird who has decided you are their flock, and they're asking you to act like it. 5. They copy the sounds you make without knowing why. Have you ever laughed, coughed, or made some offhand noise in the house, and heard your bird echo it back so precisely that you stopped and stared at them? Most people write this off as mimicry. Birds repeat things. A parrot copies a sound the way it might copy a door hinge. That's just what they do. But here's what most people don't realize. Vocal learning in birds isn't random collection. Researchers who have studied how birds acquire and use sounds have found that birds don't imitate everything they hear with equal enthusiasm. They selectively reproduce sounds associated with individuals they are bonded with. In the wild, contact calls between bonded pairs are learned, refined, and used specifically to maintain connection across distance, to locate each other, to signal closeness, to confirm that the bond is still intact. When your bird echoes your specific laugh or mirrors the little sound you make every morning, they aren't filing it away as background noise. They're incorporating your voice into how they communicate. And here's where it gets even deeper. Research on contact call convergence in parrots, including work examining how birds modify their vocalizations to more closely match bonded companions over time, suggests that when a bird adopts a human sound into their regular repertoire, they may be treating it the way a wild bird treats a flock call. You're not just someone they live with. You're the voice they've woven into their own language. Studies on budgerigar vocal learning and work by researchers examining call matching in wild parrot populations have demonstrated that birds actively shift their vocalizations toward those of their preferred social partners. This isn't passive imitation, it's social alignment. That's not your bird repeating noise. That's your bird learning your language because they decided you were worth learning. 6. They fall asleep touching you. Has your bird ever gone completely still on your shoulder or your hand, so deeply asleep that their grip softened, their head drooped forward, and they didn't stir even when you shifted? Most people think this is just comfort seeking. Birds like warmth. Your shoulder is a convenient perch. It doesn't need to mean more than that. But think back to the very first sign. The way your bird's feathers loosen the moment you walk in. That was the beginning of this. A small, involuntary exhale. This is where that exhale leads, taken all the way to its end. Sleep, for a bird, is not a casual thing. In the wild, a sleeping bird is exposed. Millions of years of instinct exist for one reason, to keep that moment from becoming fatal. Every survival drive they carry says stay alert, stay high, stay hidden. And instead of choosing a sheltered corner or a high, unreachable perch, your bird closes their eyes while touching you. They don't just sleep near you, they sleep on you. Their grip loosens, their head drops, their chest rises and falls slowly against your skin. Every alarm system they were born with goes quiet because you are there. Behavioral ecologists have long documented that prey animals sleeping in social groups do so because the presence of trusted companions reduces individual risk and allows for shared vigilance. When a companion bird sleeps in contact with a human, avian behaviorists suggest they are extending that same flock-based trust to that specific individual. And that sleep contact is among the deepest observable indicators of social bonding in companion bird species. Remember earlier, when we said there was a signal that only happens when your bird thinks no one is watching? This is it. You're asleep. They know you can't see them. And in that quiet, unwitnessed moment, they press against you and close their eyes anyway. No performance, no request, nothing to gain. Just the most unguarded decision a living creature can make. Made, every time, in your direction. Your bird doesn't trust easily. Every instinct they carry was built to resist it. But they've given you their sleep, their voice, the back of their head, the soft sound at the end of the day. And that means that to your bird, you are not just an owner. You are their flock. You are the whole world they feel safe in.